What's up, everybody? It's Bobby from Bobby's Big Board once again, and today I'm breaking down my top 24 Dynasty wide receivers heading into the 2025 season post-NFL draft. Whether you're rebuilding, contending, or just looking to stay ahead in your league, this list is based on talent, production, long-term outlook, and overall dynasty value. We've got everything from elite wide receiver ones to rookie risers, players I'm buying, and guys I'd be a little cautious about at their current price. Let me know in the comments who I've got too high, too low, or who I might have missed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap in with the Discord if you haven't already. So let's get right into it. At the top of my S tier, kicking it off, we've got Jamar Chase, an elite alpha tied to one of the best pure passers in the game, Joe Burrow. He's the clear focal point in that Bengals offense and probably the only wideout left in the league with true 50-point fantasy upside on any given week. Last year, Chase had a wide receiver one season for the ages, leading in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, earning the Triple Crown. The only real knock is Burrow's durability, but even in down games, Chase gives you a safe floor with an absolute ridiculous ceiling. There's nobody I'd rather build around at the wide receiver position than Jamar Chase. Still in the S tier, we've got Justin Jefferson, arguably the most consistent wide receiver in the entire NFL. He literally holds the NFL record for the most receiving yards per game in NFL history, and he's done it with a revolving door of quarterbacks. Kevin O'Connell's offense is built around him, and Jefferson delivers you rock-solid production every single week. 13 to 20 points almost feels automatic with him. He's the kind of player who will be a top 5 wide receiver for the next 6 to 8 years, no question. And in Dynasty, he's a hold unless somebody offers you a monster trade package. Jefferson is as real as it gets. Rounding out my S tier is CeeDee Lamb, and I think people are really starting to forget just how dominant he really is. We're not that far removed from his wide receiver 1 overall finish in 2023, where he racked up over 135 catches. Yet somehow he's being pushed behind younger rookies in rankings, and I think that's a mistake. Despite dealing with nagging injuries and losing his QB for a part of the year, CeeDee still went for over 1,000 yards and scored 6 touchdowns. He's as volume safe as it gets. 100 plus catches is just the expectation now. And now with George Pickens stretching the field, Lamb could finally see fewer double teams and even more high percentage targets. Don't sleep on CeeDee. He's still a locked in top 5 dynasty wide receiver for me. Leading off my A tier is Malik Neighbors, and he's easily one of my favorite young wideouts in the league. He put up over 1,200 yards while missing 4 games and catching passes from the likes of Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, and Daniel Jones. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now with Russell Wilson stepping in and Jackson Dart developing behind him, the QB situation in New York is the best it's ever been for Neighbors. And when it comes to Yak, there are very few guys more dangerous than him after the catch. He's the clear alpha in that offense, and I wouldn't be shocked if he sees 150 plus targets this season. Don't forget how talented Malik Neighbors is. This guy is a future fantasy monster. Next up in my A tier is Brian Thomas Jr., and honestly, I flip-flop between him and Malik Neighbors for my wide receivers 4 spot all the time. Now, BTJ is an absolute freak athlete with rare size and speed, and last year he exploded for nearly 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, even with Trevor Lawrence struggling and Mac Jones throwing him the ball. Every week it felt like he was catching a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown, and with Travis Hunter joining the offense, I don't think it hurts BTJ at all. I actually think it helps take pressure off of him. Liam Cohen takes over as the head coach, and I think he's going to do for BTJ and Hunter what he did with Godwin and Mike Evans in Tampa. BTJ is one of the best young wide receivers to build around in Dynasty, and he's not slowing down anytime soon. Next up in the A tier is the slot machine himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. back-to-back top 5 fantasy finishes, and he's earned every bit of it with elite short area target volume, strong yak ability, and a mindset that always fights for extra yards. He even has the speed to beat you deep when needed. He's the clear wide receiver 1 in that offense, but with Ben Johnson leaving, I do think we see a slight dip in overall efficiency from him, which is why I got him just a bit lower than consensus. Still, he has a rock solid 1,000 yard season pretty much every year barring injury, and if you've got him in Dynasty, just take the weekly consistency and ride it out. The Sun God will deliver. Puka Nakua's up next in my A tier, but I'm a little lower on him than consensus, and it's not just because he's not talented. When he's on the field, there's no question he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. He's got incredible hands, solid size, and Stafford feeds him targets like crazy. But the concern is durability. He was banged up throughout college, which led to his day 3 draft capital, and even now there are question marks. Stafford could retire as early as 2026, and Puka himself has said he wants to retire by 30, which adds uncertainty to his dynasty outlook. Still, with the production he gives you when healthy, you can't rank him any lower than this. He checks every box: reliable hands, strong yak ability, and top tier usage. I would consider selling him at a high value right now, but there's no denying he's an absolute baller. Next up in my A tier is Drake London, and he finally got some competent QB play last year. Between Penix and Cousins, the quarterback play wasn't elite by any means, but it was a massive upgrade from what London's been dealing with his entire career. He posted over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, and really popped in those last 2 weeks with Penix under center, dropping over 57 fantasy points in that stretch. That's wide receiver 1 territory, and if that connection continues, Penix could unlock London as a true high-end wide receiver 1 in the 2025 season. The talent has always been there, but now he's finally in a position to capitalize. Rounding out my A tier is Marvin Harrison Jr., a guy who was hyped as this generational wide receiver 1 talent, and to be clear, I still believe in the talent. He was misused as a rookie, plain and simple. The Cardinals didn't fully tap into what he does best. Kyler Murray didn't help either. He's been inconsistent and hasn't been pushing the ball downfield like he should, especially to a weapon like MHJ. But don't fall for the narrative that Marvin's just a vertical X receiver. He can run every route in the route tree, and when they finally scheme him properly, he's got high-end wide receiver 1 upside. I'm expecting a big bounce back season from him in this next season, so do not give up on the talent. Kicking off my B tier is Nico Collins, and while he's coming off a breakout year, I've got him lower than most rankings do. He's dealt with durability issues in the past, and now the Texans add 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds of the draft, signaling they're planning ahead. Tank Dell unfortunately is likely done with a severe knee injury, and he may not ever play again. Stephon Diggs was there last year, but now he's in New England. That leaves Collins as the top guy again, but the target competition is real with the younger talent coming in. He's a strong vertical X receiver, but I think we saw the peak in 2023. I'm not saying he's going to flop, but I don't think he's going to repeat wide receiver 1 production. If someone in your league still sees him that way, I'd sell him now while the value is high. Next up in my B tier is JSN, a true PPR stud in the making. Last season, he saw a big uptick in targets from Geno Smith, and now with Sam Darnold stepping in, a QB who loves getting the ball out quickly, JSN should thrive even more in that short to intermediate game. I know people are nervous about Cooper Kupp coming in, but honestly, I'm not. Kupp hasn't played a full season since 2021 when he won Offensive Player of the Year, and outside of that, he's never played more than 14 games in a season. He's still talented, but he's clearly a short-term piece. I expect JSN to see over 110 targets this year and continue his rise as a volume-based wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside in full PPR formats. Up next in my B tier is Ladd McConkey, a guy who came out hot as a rookie, putting up over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. I was high on Ladd coming into the league, especially because he had basically zero target competition in that Chargers offense. but now I'm pivoting a little bit here. He's still a very talented slot receiver, but the durability concerns are real. He struggled to stay healthy throughout college, and with the Chargers adding in Trey Harris in the draft, plus bringing in Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, I expect them to get back to that run-heavy identity that they showed last season with J.K. Dobbins when he was healthy. Once J.K. Dobbins got hurt, they had to throw a lot more, but I don't think that will be the case this year. I'm fading most pass catchers in that offense unless the value is really right for me. If you can sell Lad for an early to mid first round rookie pick, I'd probably make that move right now. Up next in my B tier is Garrett Wilson, one of the few guys who's been able to maintain consistent wide receiver 2 value despite having some of the worst quarterback play in football. Last season was his best yet, with over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns, both career highs, even with Devontae Adams added to the mix. Now he reunites with his college quarterback Justin Fields, and while the chemistry is there, Fields' inconsistent passing history is a concern. That said, Garrett's skill set is elite, amazing after the catch, wins in contested catch situations, and creates separation underneath on pretty much any route. If he's your wide receiver 2, you're feeling great, and as a wide receiver 1, there's some volatility, but the talent isn't the question. It's whether the Jets can finally get out of their own way. Up next in my B tier is Travis Hunter, and I'll say this flat out, guys. If everything clicks with him, he could end up being at the very top of this wide receiver tier list in just a few years. His ball skills already among the top 5 in the NFL, and he hasn't even taken a pro snap yet. That's how freakish his talent is. If Liam Cohen makes Hunter a priority in the passing game, I could see him putting up massive week-to-week numbers. We're talking rookie OBJ here. The only reason I can't put him higher right now is the uncertainty. BTJ is already entrenched as the alpha in Jacksonville, and while I do think their skill sets complement each other well, there's only so many targets to go around. There's also the wild card. How much will he actually play on offense long term? The Jags say they'll start him out on offense, but if he shifts back into a two-way role, it could limit his fantasy opportunity. Still, if he stays on offense, this guy will produce. Up next in my B tier is another rookie, Tedario McMillan, a rookie who walks into real opportunity with the Panthers. Carolina desperately needed a wide receiver 1, while Leggett is still a long-term project. Jalen Coker looks like a depth slot option, and Thielen, while still savvy, is 34 and clearly past his prime. McMillan is polished and versatile. He can play outside or in the slot, but I love the idea of him getting work underneath because his yak ability and contested catch skills are where he shines. That combo makes him a strong PPR asset right away. Bryce Young also showed some signs of life down the stretch last year, and if he takes even a modest leap forward, McMillan could rocket up this list. He's got A-tier upside, but 2025 is the year we find out if he's the real deal. Next up in my B tier is A.J. Brown, still one of the most talented vertical X receivers in football today. This guy is a physical mismatch and a legit wide receiver 1 when everything's clicking. But there are some real concerns with his situation right now. Last season, Saquon Barkley dominated the offense with over 340 carries, 2,000 rushing yards, and 13 touchdowns. The Eagles have fully leaned into being a run-heavy team, and that caps passing volume for everyone, not just AJ. He's also heading into his age 28 season and was banged up a bit last year. And let's not forget Devonta Smith, who's a serious talent in his own right and continues to command targets. AJ Brown is still a rock-solid wide receiver 2 in Dynasty for me with wide receiver 1 upside, but you need a lot to go right for him to finish as a top 12 guy again. Closing out my B tier is T. Higgins, one of the best possession wide receivers in the NFL. He's got incredibly sticky hands, great body control, and solid jump ball ability that makes him a constant red zone threat. Health has been his biggest issue though. He's had a tough time staying on the field for a full season, but even in just 9 games last year, Higgins posted over 900 yards and 10 touchdowns. If he gives you that kind of per game production over a full season, you're looking at a rock solid wide receiver 1. Yeah, he's not the top option with Jamar Chase in that offense, but the Bengals are so pass heavy, and Joe Burrow is good enough to support 2 top fantasy wide receivers if he stays upright. Higgins is a great value wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside when healthy. Kicking off my C tier is Romo Dunay, and yes, that Bears offense is crowded. You've got Luther Burden, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, all competing for targets. But don't let that distract you from the immense talent Romo Dunay brings to the table. He's got a big frame, elite hands, and some of the best contested catch skill sets in the league already. I still think there's a breakout season in his future, maybe not this year, but it's definitely coming. At worst, he'll be the number 2 option in a Ben Johnson offense, and that's not a bad place to be at all. The production is coming. Don't panic and sell your Romo Dunay shares just yet. Next up in my C tier is Sherice, and as a Chiefs fan myself, I really liked what he brought to the table, a yak-heavy, slot-focused wide receiver who made life easy for Mahomes underneath, but there are some real concerns with him heading into this year. First is the legal situation. He's probably going to be suspended, and we don't know how long he'll be suspended exactly, and that cloud alone is enough to hurt his early season value. Add in the fact he's coming off a major knee injury, and that's a scary combo, especially for a guy whose game depends on short area burst and shiftiness in space. On top of that, Jalen Royals, who I am very high on, is likely to get slot snaps while Rice is out. If Royals impresses, that could eat into Rice's role long term. I still believe in the talent, but his current price, which is a mid to late first round rookie pick, is a little too rich for me if that's the risk that you're wanting to take on. Proceed with caution. Next up in my C tier is Devonta Smith, and there's no denying the talent. He's got deep speed, the ball tracking ability, and the ability to make splash plays every single week. But just like A.J. Brown, the concern is the offensive environment. The Eagles are a run-heavy team, especially with Saquon in town, and that limits passing volume across the board. Smith has major boom potential, but he also comes with a very low floor. There are weeks where he might just give you 7 points or less, especially if the game script doesn't go his way. If he's your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, you're in solid shape, but he's not the type of guy you can count on for consistent wide receiver 1 numbers week to week. High ceiling, low floor, that's the Devonta Smith experience. Next up in my C tier is Xavier Worthy, a guy I think is primed for a breakout in year 2. We all know about the speed. He's one of the fastest players in the entire NFL, but what impressed me was with how Andy Reid started to actually scheme for him as the year went on, especially in the playoffs. He started slow, and that's kind of understandable. At 5'11", 165 pounds, he's going to struggle against physical corners who get their hands on him early. But once the Chiefs figured out how to use him, jet sweeps, motion, space routes, he started to flash. He's tied to Patrick Mahomes long term, and if you can get him for a late first or early second round pick, that's a move I'd make all day. The upside is literally explosive. Next up in my C tier is Tedario McMillan, a guy who's been one of the most reliable and underrated wide receivers in fantasy over the past 6 years. He's finally got consistent quarterback play last season, and he delivered with a career-high 13 touchdowns. He is turning 30 this year, which definitely puts some limits on his long-term dynasty value, but if you're a contender, he's a perfect wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 piece to round out your roster. The Commanders added Deebo Samuel this offseason, but I'm not sweating that too much. Terry is still the wide receiver 1 in that offense, and Deebo's more of a complementary weapon when healthy. If you're looking for short-term production at a discount, McLaren is a very smart buy. Next up in my C tier is Zay Flowers, a talented young wide receiver, but one that comes with some boom or bust baggage. He's in a very run-heavy offense with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson leading the charge, which naturally limits his weekly volume. That said, he still managed over 1,000 yards last season, even if he only found the end zone 4 times. Early in the year, he was heavily featured in the screen game and would get occasional deep shots here and there, but the consistency just isn't there because of how little they throw the ball some games. He can give you 20-point weeks, but don't expect them regularly. If you've got him as your wide receiver 2 or 3 in Dynasty, I think you're fine, but understand that there will be weeks where the targets are just not there. Finishing off my list in the C tier is Ricky Pearsall, a guy who hasn't put up big numbers just yet, but I'm extremely high on his long-term upside. The 49ers offense have consistently produced fantasy relevant receivers, and Pearsall has a real shot to carve out a major role this next season. With Ayuk coming off injury, Debo gone, and Jennings aging out of a significant role, Pearsall, San Francisco's 2024 first-round pick, has a clear path to becoming the wide receiver 1 in that system. He's dangerous out of the slot with strong hands, underrated jump ball skills, and legit yak ability. If the 49ers get him involved early, he's going to produce. I've personally been moving off my 2026 first to go get him in Dynasty. That's how much I believe in him. But since we haven't seen it on the stat sheet yet, this is where he lands for now. And that wraps up my top 24 Dynasty wide receivers post-draft edition. If you're trying to build a contender or rebuild the right way, stacking talent at wide receiver is one of the best long-term strategies in Dynasty. Drop your personal top 5 in the comments, or let me know which wide receiver you're planting the flag on in 2025. I appreciate all the support as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that Discord link in the description if you want more Dynasty talk, trade help, or exclusive rankings. I'll be back up soon with my top 24 tight ends, quarterbacks, and running backs, so stay locked in with Bobby's Big Board. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Hey.